Om Mahyanatimanasya Jananjana Sakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswata Deve Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarana. Hare Krishna. Today we'll continue with the seminar on Krishna's pastimes in Dvarka. In the first session we discussed some aspects of Krishna's divine strategic planning, and then we started the second part on how Krishna shows us to live a balanced life. And we were in the middle of this section that we spoke about, yes, if we want to be leaders and support others, then we must be firmly rooted like a tree. A tree is firmly rooted when it has deep roots. And this, to be balanced and deeply rooted, we must be balanced in 4 areas: physical, mental, emotionally, intellectual, and social. And last time we discussed already about the physical well-being, about the mental well-being, and we discussed how to be satisfied in mind. All these points we discussed.
Recording in progress.
And then now we continue intellectual well-being. 4 points. First being innovative. Intelligence is the place of creativity. So we should be open to new ideas in the preaching and different ways of doing things. That trying new things strategically, as we discussed in the first session. These are all healthy exercises for the intellect in Krishna's service. So this is important, to always be busy with our intellect. So a few references from Bhagavad Gita. Intelligence means have the right discrimination based on the scriptures. Krishna says in 1830, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared, what is not to be feared, what is binding, what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. Always in the mode of goodness. Planning so that we can do one thing after another, not that we come in a crisis situation and have to try to do so many things at the same time, which is not working out. We have to do one thing after another, Prabhupada said. Always busy, but in the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, when things are planned out, that otherwise many surprises will come. And that when Srila Prabhupada discussed preaching with Tamal Krishna Goswami, then they make plans. The plan A, and if that happens, plan B, and if that happens and that happens, then we do that, plan C. They had a plan for everything. So that's good use of our intelligence. The wrong use of our intelligence is making plans for sense gratification and accumulating wealth. That's a misuse. Then 1820 Bhagavad Gita. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. So seeing unity in diversity, seeing the spirit soul in every living entity, in diverse bodies. And then 1870. Being a lifelong learner, Krishna says in 1870, and I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worship me by his intelligence. So we should go on studying and discussing the Shastras with others who relish them. Not that Srila Prabhupada's books is for new devotees, and once you know the philosophy, yes, we are good. No, always studying. That's Krishna says, one who studies this sacred conversation between me and Arjuna, he worships me with his intelligence. So that's the right use. That worship should go on lifelong. Then getting enough sleep. This is from Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, chapter 26, Kapila Dev's teachings, text 30. It says that sleep is one of the functions of the intelligence. Srila Prabhupada says in that purport, yes, sleep is also necessary to keep the intelligence in working order. If there is no sleep, the brain cannot work nicely. So when we sleep, we need deep sleep. In deep sleep, the gross body is resting, the subtle body is inactive, is resting. And then the intelligence re-energizes from the spiritual platform. We need that if you did not have this suscepted, this deep sleep, you don't feel rested and your intelligence will not work nicely. So that's important. Have sufficient sleep. So that is intellectual well-being. Now then, the fourth factor is social well-being. That we have 4 points here. Social well-being means a sense of belonging to the association of devotees. Comes from appreciating one another and being an active devotee. An active part of the devotee community, contributing something, then you feel valued. So you have first that sense of belonging to a community that shares common values and ideals like your temple community. So having a feeling of appreciation for others, for devotees, when you interact with them, you appreciate them. Then being part of a devotee community. That means active part means working together and forming bonds through service. That's when the relations develop really. you serve together and you go together to challenges, then you develop nice relationships. And you and that feeling of I contribute to the broader community, that makes you feel connected and accepted. So with the devotees in the temple we can engage in prasadam distribution, some interfaith efforts, school events, if you have children, community gardening, or just being a good neighbor. So the trunk is our personal well-being. And when that trunk, these 4 parts here that we discussed, physical, mental, emotional, intellectual, social, when that is balanced, then and in good shape, then it can grow out. And what grows from it? What grows out of the trunk is the branches. So there are different areas of our life when we act that we like everything else. These have to be balanced. If all the branches are on one side, then it's likely the tree is going to fall over. The more balanced the branches are, the more the tree can spread out its growth, catch more sunlight, and distribute fruits more widely. Just as there are no two trees with the same structure. No two devotees have exactly the same aspects of life. A lot depends on one's ashram and occupation. But some of the common branches of life what are they? These branches of life. First, family, career, education, friends, home maintenance, we have recreation, outreach, hobbies, and temple service. Meetings. These are all boxes on the tree here. The branches give life to that when we are balanced. In short, the trunk and the branches of the tree of life, that's our lifestyle. This is of similar importance because only if one lives properly, one can think and act properly. Each tree has a different form, and what a healthy lifestyle looks like will vary between devotees according to each individual's nature and ashram. But one thing is that there has to be balance. If a tree has branches only on one side, it's probably to fall over. So, Bhagavad Gita 6:17. So, he who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Okay, now let's go back to Krishna in Dwarka. We see from Krishna's example that he had a very balanced lifestyle. He had his morning sadhana, then he would go to work at the Sudharan assembly hall where he would meet and make important decisions. He often had tasks to carry out like disposing of demons, combating injustice, giving instructions, and supporting religious ceremonies, as we will hear in the next session. He did all these things very responsibly. In the pictures here we see that he honors superiors like Narada. He relaxes with friends like Uddhav and plays with his children. He also is very socially active. We see him receiving guests and having a meal together. And very importantly, he also has a good night sleep. So the biggest challenge for Grihasthas who are ISKCON leaders is often balancing temple and family responsibilities. Krishna was very good at this. While performing his duty perfectly as a king, he enjoyed family life according to religious principles. When Narada Muni visited Krishna's palaces in Dwarka, he saw that Krishna would spend time with his wives playing dice, having water sports, and enjoying joking words. When he would go to events like the Rajasuya Yajna, he would take his family with him, and he would even sometimes take Satyabhama with him on his chariot when he was going into battle. Knowing that she liked adventure and excitement, Krishna would assist his children in finding suitable marriage partners when the time was right. And although they would get married and move away, he would make sure they all got together for the holidays and they would have massive celebrations. So, was Krishna in Maya, joking with his wives, playing with his children, having big family reunions? No. He's setting the example of how to live a lifestyle that is mentally and emotionally supportive for leaders. If a leader is a brahmachari or a sannyasi, they also need to have affectionate relationships with male friends in which they can relax and joke and decompress from their leadership responsibilities. This also sets a good example for others. So we have to know what our needs are. Although we are spirit souls and the foundation is our spiritual practices, we are in a material body which has gross physical needs as well as subtle, mental, emotional and intellectual needs. It is up to each individual leader to recognize their own needs, organize their lives in a way that these needs are satisfied in a Krishna conscious way, so that we can physically, emotionally and socially be healthy enough to take care of others. This will give us strength to be a pillar for others. So now that you can see for yourself, but this is an example of an exercise you can do. So on a piece of paper you draw 2 concentric cycles and then number it from 0 to 5 at the center, at the halfway mark, and 10 at the rim at the end. Then draw spokes of the wheel for each of the different areas that are important for you, like family, career, health, sadhana. You can have as many spokes as you like, and what they are will be different for everyone. So here is an example. You can say sadhana, service, social life, duties, reflection, giving classes, teaching Bhakti Shastri, can be many things. So then rate yourself from 1 to 10. And then you can see, if you rate yourself, you may see where the imbalance is, where you have to correct. You can see how well you are doing in each area, and so you make a dot amongst the, the spoke like this on that. So you put dots that, and then you connect the dots. It gives a good visual sight of what you have to work on. That so just an exercise for those who are interested to look, to reflect, to introspect. That now Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yuktahara viharasya yukta sestasya karmashu yukta svapna vabodasya yoga bhavati dukkha. He who is regulated in his habits, eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. I traveled many years with Prahlad Nanda Maharaj, at least a few months a year during 15 years, and that many years ago he gave classes, seminars on Ayurveda, and in each place he gave the same seminar, so I heard it many times. And the question may come up, what are these habits of, what are healthy habits of eating? And Maharaj explained every time as, according to Ayurveda, it's important that you don't eat more than what you can digest. If you eat more what you can digest in one time, then it will produce harm, and that will spread over. Harm is undigested food, and that becomes toxin, that is toxic, which is spread all over the body, and that will cause problems in the weakest part of the body. So what should we eat? According to Ayurveda, you can eat and digest what you can hold in your two arms and two hands. Your two hands, that's the contents of your stomach. Of course, Bhima would have big hands, but what you can keep in your two hands. And from that you can eat in the morning 80%, no, it was 60% in the morning, and at noontime 80 to 90%, and in the evening only 10 to 20%. That's what Ayurveda says. That, of course, there are much more rules of healthy habits of eating. But a regulated and balanced life makes a happy and a strong devotee. As leaders, it's important that we are happy and strong, not just for ourselves, but as a source for inspiration and strength to others. So as leaders, we need to guide and support others and finding a good balance. So what are some ways that you as leader can help devotees in your care, who are under your care, to have a balanced Krishna conscious life? So we have that question here. So if you have ideas, please put them in the chat now. We will wait 2 minutes and see what ideas you come up with. So what are some ways that you as leader can help devotees who are under your care having a balanced Krishna conscious life? That, so let's look if there are proposals here. First, make them understand the importance of balance. Yes, based on Bhagavad Gita. Good idea. That this is from Sundar Gopal. Anything else? That sure you have a lot of ideas that to help them apply in their lives. Yeah, these principles that we have discussed, to help them to apply, explain them and apply in their lives. Pran Govinda Prabhu. Any comments?
Maharaj, I have a question. In your earlier, in the beginning, you said about this balance, and you were referring to Yuktahara Viharasya. But then you discuss about this sleep. You gave the reference of the Bhagavatam. And you mentioned the difference between Nidra and Shapna and Sushupti. Or you mentioned about Sushupti. My question is, do I have control on to go to Sushupti, or the situation will automatically put me into Sushupti, or do I have any control on it? Because you said Sushupti we need.
We need, yes. If you are in too much worries, you can't sleep. That's a problem. That if your vata is too high, you get insomnia. You cannot sleep, so you have to balance your vata. So the point of having deep sleep will also depend on your physical well-being and your balance during your life. But sometimes we are sick and it becomes a problem. Yes. Therefore, we have to be very careful. Thank you. Good point.
Maharaj, also like Gauranga Prabhu mentions in his book about from 10 to 2 is the most important time to sleep, where he says unresolved emotion and feelings actually get dismantled, finish what was bothering. So when you wake up in the morning, you have a fresh starts. Prabhupada says about 6 hours sleep. Now he talks about, Gauranga Prabhu talks about 10 to 2 compulsory, like 4 hours. What is your take, or what is your conclusion on this? Just
that when one is spiritual advanced, one can reduce his sleeping. So if you are above Nishta, that will be naturally. That you will also eat less. But we cannot imitate that. We need our rest to be balanced. If you are not fully rested in the morning, what will your japa be? Will you be able to concentrate? It depends on the rest of your intelligence also. Therefore we need to have a good rest. So 6 hours is all right. But like Gauranga Prabhu said, and also Bhaktivinoda Thakur did that. He was going to sleep in the evening about 8 and was getting up at 12. That's interesting. They say the hours before midnight count double, they say. But still, we need 6 hours. But it's different for everyone, and it's important to be regulated every day the same. Time sleeping, getting up, and that will help. That regulation, that helps to be, to have a good rest. That
Thank you.
so that's balance again. That so for Mickey Power says sharing a taste of a balanced life. Yes, that's true. That Sundar Gopal, empowering them with some time management tools and techniques that good. We have the life of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, how he was living. We have his schedule, which was published. That, of course, we have also the example of Srila Prabhupada, which we cannot imitate, that he was on a different level. But yes, the instruction of Prabhupada, 6 hours, that's a good point. That sometimes we may have a little more, because even if you want to sleep 6 hours, you may be 7 hours in bed before you sleep and so on. But okay, have a balanced life. If you are young, then you can deviate a bit from that. But when you get older, better to be regulated. That will help you to go a long way. So thank you. So my ideas were, yes, be a model of balanced life. First ourselves. That then, if you instruct others or engage them in activities, allow them some free time also. And have Krishna conscious recreational activities like trips or festivals that have a reasonable time and communications expectations. That's so we should create a healthy environment in which a balanced life is expected, enabled, and supported. That so we need to draw a clear line between personal and work time or service time. That maybe other ideas. Good. In the chat, maybe another idea. Yeah. Sundar Gopal, creating an environment which supports discipline, time management and balance, not overburdening them with responsibility by having the idea about how much engagement they have. Yes, be aware of that we engage devotees, but they may have other services also. Thank you, Sundar Gopal. So we go to the next. Here we have our tree again. The tree who gives shadow to the cows here. Many cows under the tree. So as leaders we have to be balanced. We have to have a balanced life and facilitate others to do the same. When we are firmly rooted in Krishna consciousness, by good sadhana, then we have a solid supportive trunk of physical, mental, intellectual and social well-being. But for this our relationship and activities must be balanced and regulated like a tree. And then we will be able to deliver the nectarian juice of Krishna consciousness to others and provide soothing shelter for many souls. So that was the second part of the seminar. And now we will go to the third part. Third part is about relationships. So when Krishna was in Vrindavan, he performed many activities which we cannot imitate. which cannot be imitated by ordinary conditioned souls. But when he shifted to Mathura and Dwarka, we see mood changes, and it is said, he was acting in a certain way to set an example for ordinary people to follow. So Krishna was also a leader, a prince. He was a king of Dwarka. And devotees who are leaders, they can learn from Krishna's Dwarka Lila, while simultaneously relishing the bliss of meditating on Krishna, our supreme object of love. Just so when there is a healthy relationship between the mother and the father, the children grow up nicely. If the relationship between leaders within the temple or between leaders of different temples is good, the regular devotees will be much happier. And this helps them to grow in bhakti. It helps the projects grow, and it attracts new people to our community. Although all relationships with devotees are important, there can be special challenges in relationships between leaders. So we are going to look at that in relationship to Krishna's own example in the Dwarka Lila. So this is section 3, relationships between leaders. So when Srila Prabhupada was physically present, there was a strong sense of unity within the movement, which Srila Prabhupada himself nurtured. He would speak about different projects, and he would say, our temple in New York, our farm in New Vrindavan, our Gurukula in Dallas. He would even refer to devotees in this way. He would say, our Giriraj in Bombay or our Purushottam. Although he encouraged transcendental friendly competition between temples, there was a mood that we are all one movement, and that one's temple success was everyone's success, and one's temple problem were everyone's problems. So it is quite often different, that there is often little communication or collaboration between temple presidents, even within the same state. Some of them seem to operate more or less in isolation of each other, which makes ISKCON as a movement weak. A bundle of twigs cannot be broken, but a twig on its own is easy to snap. So my question to you is, why is that? Why is there so little communication between temples, and why do they operate in isolation? Any suggestions? Why is that? Yes, Sundar Gopalka.
Yes, Maharaj, what I could think of is that because there is like the culture has to be brought in where leaders should sit together, focusing, keeping this as priority, relationship as priority. Like we have management meetings where we keep priority on discussing the managerial issues. Similarly, like we should also bring leaders together. So there should be some culture, some platform must be created, and some kind of inspiration should be given. And if it is not available, then like after getting the projects, like the people usually they become busy in their projects and they start seeing everything on the angle of the management and this kind of thing. So the focus changes from the relationship to the only like getting things done, getting projects done. So these are the few things, Maharaj, I could understand.
Yeah, thank you. That they are too much focused on solving their own problems and projects and so on, Thank you, Sundar Gopal. And Vishwavasi Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna, may you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you clearly.
Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances. My idea is, my experience is, if we have a common project or temple board of the temple or regional board, we have some solution, or in ISKCON in general, we have some solution, and we need all to follow this solution. And if we have false ego, it is a difference from our desires, and not enough level of mother goodness push Rajagun push us out of common solution, because we need to manifest ourselves like this. It is influence of false ego. It's my vision.
Yeah. There's some false ego, some even false ego in the sense this is my project, and that makes them separate. That Pan Govinda says, acting locally, thinking globally. A good idea. The points I came up with was, leaders are strong-willed. They like to be independent many times. Of course, Srila Prabhupada wanted each temple to be autonomous, but we see also different projects have different moods. But let us now look at Krishna, the kings of Dwarka, how he interacted with the other leaders, both within his own kingdom and the leaders of other kingdoms. So first, then, every day, Lord Krishna would go to the Sudharma assembly hall in Dwarka to deal with issues of governance. On one such day, a messenger arrived with a letter from one of the kings imprisoned by Jarasandha, requesting Krishna to go and free them. Then a moment later, Narada Muni arrives with an invitation for Krishna to go to Hastinapur to attend Maharaj Yudhishthira's Rajasuya sacrifice. So most of the elders in the assembly wanted to go kill Jarasandha immediately, because Jarasandha had first to be killed. But Krishna did not want to appoint Yudhishthira. Did Krishna say, I'm the king here and I'm going to make the decision? No. What did Krishna do? He turned to Uddhav. The personality of God had said to Uddhav, you are indeed our best eye and closest friends, for you know perfectly the relative value of various kinds of counsel. Therefore, please tell us what should be done in this situation. We trust your judgment and shall do as you say. So by this example, Krishna teaches how important it is to empower other leaders, to let them make important decisions and to accept their good counsel. So he presented Uddhava as a leader, and Uddhava came up with a perfect plan. He advised Krishna to go first to Hastinapur, tell Yudhishthira to go ahead and announce his intention to do the Rajasuya Yajna, because in order for that to happen, he needs to win the support of all other kings, either through agreement or by defeating them in battle. And then Uddhav also told Krishna how to kill Jarasandha. Knowing that Jarasandha's army was practically undefeatable, Uddhav advised that they engaged in a one-to-one combat To do this, he said, you, Bhima, and Arjuna should go to Jarasandha, disguised as Brahmans. Jarasandha never refuses a Brahmin who approaches him for charity. When Jarasandha asked what you would like, ask for a fight. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 10:71-8. So, then, that's exactly what Krishna did. He went to Indraprastha, along with his whole family, hundreds and thousands of men, and related the idea to Yudhishthira. Got Bhima and Arjuna on board with the plan, and then the three of them went to confront Jarasandha as advised. After challenging Jarasandha to a fight, Jarasandha brassly insulted Krishna, first calling him a fool for trying to trick him, then a coward for fleeing from Kalyavan, and he declared that Krishna was not even worth fighting with. How did Krishna react to all these insults? What did he do? He didn't react at all. He did not descend to Jarasandha's level and retaliate with anger or insults. He very calmly tolerated Jarasandha's outbursts and remained fixed in following the advice of Uddhava. This also teaches us that in dealing with difficult personalities, we have to anticipate some flack, but take it with a thick skin. And don't let it distract you from your plan. As Srila Prabhupada would say, the dogs will bark, but the caravan passes. Don't stop and try to bark back at the dogs. Stay calm and carry on with your plan. After thoroughly insulting Krishna and rejecting him as unworthy opponent, Jarasandha handed the club to Bhima, which was exactly according to Uddhava's plan. Actually, it was Krishna's own plan because Krishna wanted to glorify Bhima. He wanted to give Bhima the credit for killing his formidable demon. Just like he accepted the subordinate role as supported Arjuna in being the hero of the Battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna stayed in the sidelines and cheered on Bhima. Then, actually, Bhima could not kill Jarasandha. After many days of fighting, he was getting tired. He admitted one night that he could not defeat Jarasandha. Now Krishna could have stepped in and saved the day and killed him effortlessly. But he did not do so. Instead, he empowered Bhima with his own potency. And the next day, when the battle resumed, Krishna picked up a Y-shaped twig and split it down in the middle. You see that the picture here. He stepped down on the other and ripped Jarasandha lengthwise into two halves. With this victory, Krishna embraced Bhima and congratulated him heartily. So here we see that although Krishna is the leader, he doesn't have to be the hero. He's quite happy to stand back and let someone else get the glory. He arranges for it to be done. He empowers the person to do it. He coaches him when he is struggling, and he gives him all credit for the victory, while accepting nothing but insults for himself. This is exceptional leadership. A good leader. From the example of Krishna, a real leader is not one who keeps everyone subordinate to them, but lifts others up. He let them make important decisions, gives them fresh new challenges, stands by their side to support them when the going gets tough, gives them all credit for the success. In this way, good leaders make more good leaders. Now we'll have a discussion. So what are some obstacles to stepping back and giving authority to others? So means that one delegates. How can we overcome these obstacles? How is this related to succession, making new leaders? Any suggestions? Okay, Madan Mohan Prabhu, please.
Thank you, Bhakti Prabhu Maharaj, for such a wonderful, inspiring presentation on leadership based on Krishna's Leela. One observation, from what I remember when I read the pastime, that was Bhimasen's second attempt to defeat Jarasandha, and on his second attempt, Krishna joined him with Arjuna and he said, "Let's go together. You will fight, I will give advice, and Arjuna will protect us." But the Acharyas explained that the actual motive of Krishna's going with Bhimasen was to get away with Arjuna somewhere, because they were friends and he wanted to spend some time with them. So based on the friendship, Krishna joined Bhimasen. So I would say that one of the ways to overcome these obstacles of trying to assume success and not letting anyone else step in is to have very trusting and deep friendship with members of one's team or with those who we do services or projects together, because friendship actually allows us to see other success as one's own and actually taking pride in others' success. Prabhupada in one class gave this example that a spiritual master never envies his disciple because he sees the disciple's success as one's own. It's the same way as a friend always, as a father always takes pride in his son's success. So I guess one of the ways to overcome this obstacle, one of the obstacles listed here, is to develop this kind of deep friendship and you could say pride in devotees, performing well or even excelling us in many ways. For that we require to see them as one's own member, family or friends or someone we share success with.
Yeah, also Arjuna says that in Bhagavad Gita to Krishna that, please tolerate my impudence, like like a man and a wife tolerates each other and so on. That so if one is loving relationships, this tolerance becomes natural, and that appreciation, non-envious is there. That thank you for sharing that.
And that was also manifest, please forgive me for adding one more sentence. When they got back, again, if I remember correctly, the three of them gave a report to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and each of them was glorifying the activities of the other two. And they said, Krishna and Bhima, they did wonderful, Arjuna said. And then Krishna glorified Bhima and Arjuna, and then Bhima glorified Arjuna and Krishna.
Yes.
That's again another example of very close and deep camaraderie.
Yeah, it's natural out of love. Thank you. Sundar Gopal, thank you, Madam.
Yes, Maharaj. Maharaj, one reason I could make out like what are those some obstacles. One I could make out is that like leader may think that the people under me are incompetent to handle the things and feels that fear of failure and then he may lose resources if he gives them responsibility. So he likes to do things himself mostly, so that he avoids failure or setbacks. Second can be that like feeling insecure, that I may lose my authority if I empower others, like physical not having abundant mentality, but having like narrow mindedness. And the how can you overcome these obstacles? One way is that what I could understand is that by broadening the vision, the leaders have a broad vision, like to understand that if you want to do something significant, achieve something big, we cannot achieve alone. We need many leaders, because as project grows, if we do alone, everything falls on our head, and if there are no people down the line who can bear the responsibility, then it becomes very difficult to balance big projects, big things. So if the leader has this understanding, broad vision, mature vision, then he empowers others to take responsibility. Thank you,
Yeah,
Maharaj.
broad vision, and yeah, if you think I have to do everything myself, because otherwise it's not properly done. That's quite, yeah. Such person will never become a real leader. You have to take risks and delegate and educate others how to do it and empower them. Thank you, Sunakopal. Vishwavasa Prabhu.
Yes.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
can you
Krishna.
hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Very interesting experience of Soviet Union Yatra in the beginning of 90s. Um, there was idea you can do your service only 5 years. First, if devotee started to do new service, first 3 years it's for experience, for good understanding of things, and after them 2 years for training new people for this exactly this service. And this senior devotee need to start new service. It is produce the growing the branch of tree of Lord Chaitanya and starting new branches like this.
Yes, that is our duty. And that requires delegation. Thank you. Pran Govinda Prabhu. Thank you, Vishwavasa.
Maharaj, I appreciate Madan Mohan Prabhu's concept that it reminded me of when Rupa Goswami started writing the Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita. It says that he actually experienced many interaction between Krishna and his friends in order to write. And there's a beautiful story, but in a short, that once Krishna woke up from his bed and he saw his own reflection in the mirror, not knowing that this is his own reflection that Krishna was expressing. Because it was so beautiful, he says, "Hey, who are you? Would you like to be my friend? Can I share with you?" And then there was some cooperation, reciprocation was built on that. And Mother Josoda was seeing from far, and of course she was aware that he's seeing his own reflection, is conversing with this. He said, "Would you like to be my friend?" Seeing this vision, Rupa Goswami Pad wrote this, "Dadati prati ginnati guyyamakkati prichati bhungte bhujayata jeva sarvidam priti lakshanam." Sarvidam priti lakshanam. That has to be, that love and trust has to be again and again and again discussed more and established amongst the devotees. I think shortage of love and trust is the question, I feel.
Okay, that's certainly an important aspect. Love and trust. Thank you, So we are going on now that so with the killing of Jarasandha, much Yudhishthir's Rajasuya Jahya could go on. So Krishna, Bhima and Arjuna made their way back to Indraprastha. In this part of the pastime we see that even though Krishna has his own kingdom to take care of, he went to Indraprastha, bringing his whole family with him to support another leader, Maharaj Yudhishthir, and he was happy to do any service that was required to help Yudhishthir endeavor a success. Which specific services did Krishna volunteer for? So it's mentioned here in the Bhagavatam. So Bhishma supervised the kitchen, Duryodhana looked after the treasury, while Sadev respectfully greeted the arriving guests. Nakula procured needed items, Arjuna attended the respectable leaders, and Krishna washed everyone's feet. They did so because of their eagerness to please Maharaj Yudhishthir, O best of kings. So Krishna was very happy to help Maharaj Yudhishthir. And it's not that Yudhishthir even asked for it. So why was Krishna so eager to please Maharaj Yudhishthir? Because there was a recognition of the unity of missions. Krishna didn't think, I have my project here in Dwarka. I just take care of that, and what other kings do in their kingdom has nothing to do with me. No, he kept the broader objective in mind. Krishna's mission was to re-establish religious principles. And Yudhishthira was a pious king who was the embodiment of religious principles, the son of Dharmaraj. So naturally, Krishna was enthusiastic to support him. So similarly, we have a common mission with all ISKCON projects to spread the chanting of the holy names to every town and village of the world. To maintain temples and farms and schools and ashrams where people can associate with devotees, learn how to practice bhakti and go back to Godhead. So anyone who is doing that is helping with our mission, which is Srila Prabhupada's mission, which is ultimately Krishna's mission. So we should try to support them in any way we can. Now, what are some ways devotees from different ISKCON communities can collaborate? What is your experience of collaborative efforts between temples? Someone can share something about that? If you have experience in that field, that temples will cooperate with each other. Is it not existing?
Yes, I have.
Yes, please, Vishwaras Prabhu, share.
We organize in Baltic countries Baltic Leader Sangha, and some leaders from countries surround Baltic Sea. It is Poland, Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania is coming together, and meeting of some lessons or exchanging of experience. We invite some Sannyasa or GBC like this, and another type of cooperation or relationships is invite senior devotees to give some lectures in a festival or Sunday programs in another countries, in another temples like this, and studying experience.
Oh, that's a nice experience, that in the Baltics and surrounding countries. Padmanabhan Prabhu, please.
Yes, Maharaj. I was thinking, normally what happens, devotees, they feel that why this person is coming here. I mean to say, when we are going out in the mood of giving, benefiting them, not expecting anything in return for us, considering the center organization is one organization, whether we stay in one center or go to other center. Anything is like ISKCON, one ISKCON, like Prabhupada. He went to Melbourne, he went to USA, he went to European temples. And wherever he reaches, that's our temple. Similarly, the leaders, they go with the mood of giving, not in the mood of taking, then they will not find you as a threat to them. They will definitely cooperate. It will be a nice way to collaborate. And unanimously we can grow with a happy spirit.
Yeah, that sounds very ideal. Thank you, Padmanabhan Prabhu. Very good. Rukmini Krishna Prabhu, your experience.
Yeah, thank you, Mara. This is a very wonderful and enlightening session. We have an experience of collaboration, like nice collaborative efforts. Like we were organizing in schools Vedic Education Olympiad based on Bhagavad Gita. So this was helping us to getting the Gita sponsored and distributing them. So 4 years back, it was only a effort limited to Delhi only. Then due to Corona, we have to go online. And then somehow by Krishna's mercy, we got the backing of United Nations. So it became an international event, and we approached all the schools, and we then got support from all the ISKCON temples from 15 countries. And around 2 lakh children could participate, and all the schools from different countries, they had this advantage because the students will be getting the UN certificate. So it was win-win situation, and we could also do very nice Olympiad. So that way it was a collaborative efforts.
Mm-hmm. That sounds great, thank you. Good example. In Belgium, all the temples, they have cooperate doing Harinam. Each week, each Saturday, another city. And from all the temples, we go to that city for Harinam. That's the cooperation we have. That, and also there's cooperation for Ratha Yatra always. But, good. Sundar Gopal, please.
Yes, Maharaj. Like during the COVID period, here in India, we had organized one mega webinar online, and all the devotees from different youth forums all over India, they all came together on that project, and we created a Guinness World Record in that for ISKCON. Around 1,51,000 concurrent viewership on the leadership seminar. So it was like very nice experience. We could see that when all of us were working together, we could never imagine that this much could have been done. 7 lakh registrations were done. And the good part was that devotees were very much enthusiastic when they were doing all these things, because they were saying that together we are able to achieve something like alone we could not. And when the result came at the end, and we were awarded the world record on the ISKCON got the world record. Everyone was very happy, and all the leaders of India, ISKCON India, were very happy that ISKCON India could do together, made a world record. So, like you could see, alone no one could have done this such a big thing, but it was possible because we did it in a collaborative way, and all of those who participated were very happy also.
Well, these are good examples. Thank you, Sundar Gopal. Madan Mahaprabhu, the latest, you are the last one because we have to go on, please.
Yeah, a quick example is in 2015, ISKCON Kolkata was celebrating the 50th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's departure for America on his voyage by the Jaladuta ship. So there was an idea to create a monument of two parts. one part in Calcutta, another part in Boston, where Prabhupada landed or touched the land of America first. And that was an idea that came about just 3 or 4 months prior to the actual celebration. So there was a cooperation of Russian Yatra, some devotees from Russia. There was a very talented sculptor devotee from Kiev, Ukraine, and a few more designers from Ukraine, and the Calcutta temple, Radha Raman Prabhu and the team. So all 3 temples cooperated very actively, very successfully in creating 2 monuments for Srila Prabhupada's 50th anniversary of departure for the West, and one of them is now stationed in ISKCON Calcutta, and another one is installed in front of the Boston Temple.
Oh,
Beautiful monuments of Srila Prabhupada in bronze, of Srila Prabhupada embarking on his tour and also disembarking in America.
oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Madan. Atmaram Prabhu, maybe the last one.
Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Yeah.
please issue messages. During last super cyclone, when people are homeless and they are not getting proper food, we, the devotees of all over Odisha, ISKCON devotees, divided them to 8 groups, and they went there in the early morning 6 till evening 6 to distribute them different food items and clothing and utensils and everything. And at last, after 6 months, all of these people are very much satisfied at the service of ISKCON devotees, and ultimately they arranged a huge Nagar Kirtan and 8 days continuously Nam Kirtan, and there was a very health camp in which doctors came to check their health and get them free medicines, and that was possible due to all the devotees congregational collaboration, for which that was a very good impression on ISKCON by the public, and all are happy and appreciating ISKCON.
Yeah, that must be inspiring for others to
Excellent.
receive.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Atmaram.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Okay, we go on now. Here. So, just as Krishna volunteered to assist Maharaj Yudhishthira's initiative because of love for him, Srila Prabhupada said that our movement is based on love and trust. And we are meant to interact with each other based on the 6 loving exchanges between devotees. So this pleases the Lord. Lord Vishnu was so pleased with the Pashetas for their cooperative spirit that he personally appeared to them and expressed his appreciation. Now it is interesting that although Krishna is the greatest personality, he volunteered to do what appears to be the lowest service. Washing the feet is something you do for a respectable superior. So here Krishna is showing that real greatness is not trying to look great. Real greatness is humility and humble service to others. So Krishna shows this time and time again. He washes the feet of his devotee Narada when he visits. He washes the feet of Sudam, although he is impoverished. This is a constant feature of Krishna in Dwarka, that he is always eager to honor others and is not concerned about being honored in return. In this example, he exemplifies Trinatapi Sunitsne Tarora Visesne Amana Namanadana Kirtaniya Sadahari. Being lower than a blade of grass, being more tolerant than a tree. We saw he tolerated Jarasandh's insults. He also quietly tolerated so much abuse from Sisupal to his life. He is always ready to offer all respects to others and is not attached to receiving respect in return. But was Krishna any less for doing this menial service? Did anyone think, oh, this Krishna is so lowly, he's washing everyone's dirty feet? No. when it was time to decide who was the most exalted person in the assembly who would get the Agra Puja, the first worship, although all the great sages and demigods of the universe were present, they were all ecstatic when Krishna was nominated. So this shows that humility is not weakness, it is strength. Srila Prabhupada said, with all humility at my command, he was feeling that his strength was coming from his humility. Being humble, he would be victorious. So, what are some examples of how humility has been the basis of success? I'm curious to know if you can give examples where humility was the basis of success. Yes, Sundar Gopalpur.
As one example, I could think of even the pastime of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Also, like he was humble when he went to the assembly of Mayavadi Sannyasi. Then that time he also was sitting where the people used to wash their feet, and that was like one act of humility. So that's what attracted the Mayavadi sannyasis. So I could see that he was successful there also because of his humility.
Yeah, their humility became a strength. Thank you, Sundar Gopalpur. Any other examples? Rukmini Krishna Prabhu?
Yes, Maharaj. I am remembering an anecdote on the life of his soul, Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. They had a farm community in Hyderabad, and somehow they developed some dispute with the local people, and the police was not supporting the devotees. In fact, police went against the devotees. It created a very unfavorable situation. It was reported to Maharaj, and Maharaj came, and Maharaj was thinking all the way. He went personally to meet the police officer in his police station, and when he got down from the jeep, he straight away went to the police officer and offered him humble, prostrated obeisance, taken aback that such a big sannyasi is offering him prostrated obeisances. And then Maharaj folded hands, questioned him. And then the police officer revealed that this devotee was not behaving nicely with us, but now seeing you, now we truly support you. So it completely changed the whole situation by Maharaj in humility.
Oh, that's a powerful example. Thank you, Rukmini
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Atmaram Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, when he took sannyas and came to Jagannath Puri, at that time he had met Sarvam Bhattacharya, who was a great Pandit at that time in the camp of King Prataprudra. So ultimately, when he met Sarvam Bhattacharya told Mahaprabhu that you are a young sannyasi. Why you are chanting and dancing? You should rather learn Bhakti Vedanta Sutra, so that by reading Bhakti Vedanta, Vedanta, you will be very much qualified Pandit. So Mahaprabhu told, I have no qualification. Can you please explain me? So for 7 days there was explanation by Sarvam Bhattacharya to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Mahaprabhu remained out of humility silent, then Sarvam is asking why Krishna Chaitanya, you are not responding anything. Why you are silent? I do not able to understand anything. So Mahaprabhu, out of his most humility, told, I can understand your this important verses, but the explanation is difficult to understand. Why? Because Mahaprabhu wants to show that it was of Mayavad philosophy, not including with the Bhakti philosophy. So when Sarvamana asked Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu explained with all the Bhakti, with this Bhakti system of philosophy to Sarvamana, and Sarvamana is highly influenced. Although he is a big Pandit, but Mahaprabhu, by his activities as a small, just out of his humility, showing him that he does not know. Now ultimately Mahaprabhu taught him after a great Vaishnava, and Sarvamana was very much pleased with Mahaprabhu.
Good example, Admiral. Thank you.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
yes, that's
yeah.
Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, very presented him as someone who knows nothing before Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya.
Yes,
Thank you. Vishwavasipu, please.
Hare Krishna, may you hear?
Yes.
It is story about Jayananda Prabhu. He cleans a place nearby the temple, and one new guest came and started to speak with him, and was so inspired the relationships and knowledge of this cleaner, and this guest was very attractive to Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Jayananda is a good example. He commanded respectability just by his humility, that always doing the so-called low-class jobs, that ready to do everything. Balaram Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I was thinking about Srila Prabhupada when he came to America in the early days. Srila Prabhupada was doing so much to serve the devotees in so many humble ways. He was cooking for them. He was even washing the pots. And at one particular point, the devotees asked, "Oh, Swami, is there anything we could do for you?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, you could, if you could help wash the pots." I was thinking about Prabhupada that way.
Srila Prabhupada also presented him many times just as a member of the society. Thank you, Balaram Prabhu. Great, our dear Srila Prabhupada is our greatest example. Thank you. Okay, we go on. So now we have here, just a moment. Have you had the experience of being cared for by another ISKCON leader so nicely that your anxieties melted away? How did that make you feel toward the leader, toward ISKCON in general, toward Krishna? So now we are going to talk about another aspect of relationships with other leaders, and that's the relationship of caring. Usually we think of leaders as caregivers, and they are, but leaders are people too. And they often have their own difficulties. We've seen this example of the kings who were imprisoned by Jarasandha. So after killing Jarasandha, Krishna released the kings from prison. There were over 20,000 of them, and they were all thin and pale and dirty from being imprisoned for so long. And he described how Krishna personally arranged for their care. He doesn't say, now you go and get yourself cleaned up and get a good meal, but he personally arranged and supervised their care. So according to time, place and circumstances, that we should be ready to offer personal support to other leaders who may be struggling, whether due to health or external challenges or deeper internal struggles, so they get back on their feet. So when the devotees are thoroughly taken care of by leaders, they feel inspired that this is a wonderful movement. The devotees are amazing. Krishna is amazing. And they want to reciprocate by dedicating themselves to Krishna. So this is exactly what happened with the kings that Krishna took care of. Thus liberated from all difficulty by Krishna, the greatest of personalities, the kings, departed, and as they went, they thought only of him, the Lord of the universe, and of his wonderful deeds. The kings told their ministers and other associates that what the personality of God had done, and they diligently carried out the orders he imparted to them. So all devotees, and especially leaders, are representatives of Krishna. When the leader takes care of someone, that person feels Krishna is taking care of me. And this leads them to surrender to Krishna more. So when we have good relationships with others, we also come closer in our relationships with Krishna. Srila Prabhupada in a lecture of Nectar of Instruction says that engaging in the 6 loving exchanges with devotees actually awakens our dormant love for Krishna. And it's such a great example for others to follow, which is what leaders always should do. So here, Shrutadeva and Baulasva were unable to travel to Dwarka to see Lord Krishna because both of them had vowed to regularly worship their personal deity at home. Sri Krishna was very glad to go out of his way to give them both his audience. So they made a vow, I'm going to stay here, worship the deity, and they made that vow. And therefore Krishna came to see them. So, of course, these relationships between leaders, they don't just happen, they require cultivation, which requires time and effort. It means getting together and associating with each other. Nowadays it's so easy to just shoot a text message or have a Zoom call, but nothing can replace personal association. Even if it means getting in your car and driving a few hours to visit a leader or to another temple a couple of times a year, it's worth it. So Krishna himself demonstrates this when he goes out of his way to make a special trip to visit these 2 leaders in the province of Mithila. Shrutadev was a first-class Brahmin and not a leader of society. And Baulasma was the king of Mithila. They were tied down with their services, so they could not go to Dwarka to see Krishna. So Krishna went to see them. It wasn't to resolve any particular problem, nor was it a strategic planning retreat or something like that. It was just a visit to spend some pleasing time with them, to take prasadam together, so to connect. Just imagine what if ISKCON leaders like temple presidents made it a regular practice to visit other temples or projects, at least those nearby, and just connect with the leaders there. See the good things they are doing and engaging 6 loving exchanges. When you bring some gift from your temple in talking, share your thoughts and feelings about things, and sit down and take prasadam together. So, question: what are some of the benefits that could result from this kind of interaction? Imagine if it was a regular practice among our leaders and temples. What would be the benefits that would result from this kind of interactions? Coming together, engaging in loving six loving exchanges. Any suggestions? What would be the benefit of if leaders of different temples regularly see each other and visit each other, exchange gifts and have loving relationships? Sundar Gopal?
Yes, Maharaj. The benefits are many, Maharaj. What is coming in my mind is one is that it will build relationship and then synergy. Like if relationship is very good, they have understanding, deep understanding, then things move very fast. Communication becomes very easy, smooth, and misunderstanding goes less and less, and that will like also like devotee feel very comfortable also, because the relationship is the need of the soul, like they feel loved and cared, they feel that, like you mentioned about social part, so that aspect is taken care of.
Yeah, yeah. Love and care, and they trust each other. Yeah, that not seeing each other as competitors and so on. Vishwavasya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, may you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
I can give one example. It is Yekaterinburg Yatra, it is big yatra in Ural region in Russian Federation. And maybe 20 years devotees are fighted one to another. Absolutely was no relationship, and no common meetings and no common projects. 20 years. They cannot pacify their mind. I don't know why. But some years ago, this situation was changed. And now maybe very tired to fight one with another. And now very close relationships between devotees. And what is the influence? It is Yatra is grown up, and a lot of all Yatra like family, one family, and a lot of new people came and started a lot of new projects, and this like sky and land. It's a very big difference. Very big difference.
That's a wonderful example, Vishwavasya. Thank you. Thank you. Atmaram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, as your holiness had already explained about this Drutadev and Gaudastas, their mood to serve Krishna, so Krishna, out of his boundless mercy, although he has no any strategic planning, but he went there and accepted prasadam in both of themselves simultaneously expanding each other in two forms. Similarly, if our good relation prevails with the leaders and the devotees, with the love and trust, love and affection, then naturally, Maharaj, there will be no more any question of doubt or misunderstanding, and every Prabhupada's center will become a good Vaikuntha planet, and all will be live peacefully with the eternal love and affection. Maharaj, this is my comments. Yes, comments, please,
Okay.
Maharaj.
Spiritually uplifted for everyone. Rukmini
Yes,
Krishna
Maharaj.
Prabhu.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you. It will be beneficial both at the individual as well as community level. Individually, because the leaders normally don't get time to interact with others, and those in the authoritative positions, they have very few people as friends. When the leaders will interact with each other, they will have their social needs filled up. They will feel more secure, and the community in general also will feel more secure than when they see the leaders coming together. It gives a sense of security to the whole community also. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. Thank you, Rukmini Krishna Prabhu. There are two comments in the chat. This is from Madan Mam Prabhu on the topic of care. I can only suggest, and wherever, this is a quote of Prabhupada, I can only suggest and wherever possible that can be applied, but I do not force anyone. After all, you are only working so hard to please Krishna only out of love for me, so there can be no question of force if love is there. We should not ever try to force anyone or reduce our society to an impersonal business exchange. This will kill everything. Our only purpose in every endeavor is simply to make advancement in spiritual life or pleasing Krishna. From Srila Prabhupada's letter to Bhaktadas, 9 April 1972. And a comment from Valmiki Prabhu. When equals communicate, it is possible to check the correctness of the mood of the servant leader. Interesting. Thank you. So my ideas were if leaders of different temples, of yatras, have loving relationships, then collaboration becomes easy. They learn from each other. They get enlivened in their service as a leader. They feel support of wider ISKCON community. We need peer relationships. If only juniors, we can become imbalanced. When difficulties arise, they are easier to solve because of the amicable relationship, etc. So these were my ideas. Thank you for sharing so much. That now we are coming to the end. We summarize the main points of our seminar. That first, make more leaders by empowering others. That we learn from Krishna's pastime in Dwarka. So a great leader is happy to make a humble position, doing even menial service. And we got from you so many examples. A great leader cultivates a spirit of solidarity in the service of Srila Prabhupada. He supports other leaders' projects. He cares for other leaders when they are in need. Cultivates personal relationship with other leaders, which increases love and trust for each other and for Krishna. So, yes, Srila Prabhupada, he was in favor of decentralization, but not disconnection. He wanted us to cooperate as a united force in his global mission. He instructed his leaders to come together every year in Mayapur to discuss unity in diversity. The challenge we face is to achieve a healthy balance between managing and our independent projects, and cooperating with each other to spread the movement most effectively all over the world. And it all starts with good relationships. Maintaining good relationships and working cooperatively with other leaders is not always easy, but it is well worth it. In our discussions, we have seen so many benefits of it. Knowing this would be the secret for continuing its movement for future generations. Srila Prabhupada famously said, "Your love for me will be shown by how much you cooperate to keep this institution together after I'm gone." This is a quote of Srila Prabhupada here. Now all my disciples must work combinedly and with cooperation spread this Sankirtan movement. If you cannot work together, then my work is stopped. Our society is like a big family, and our relationships should be based on love and trust. We must give up the fighting spirit and use our intelligence to put ahead. Letter to Panda, August 6, 1970. So, thank you very much. This is the end of the seminar. I hope it was useful to hear about strategic planning, balanced life, and importance of good relationships between leaders, that following the example of Lord Krishna in Dwarka. I hope it was useful for you. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, very nice. Bhakti Prabhu Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Yeah. Also, my thanks to Mother Prabhupada Priya, who made the materials for this session. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow morning.